Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Paul with Team ReliGym, coming at you with a short educational video on incremental resistance. So, what is incremental resistance? Incremental resistance is a way to do strength training without having a static load. And what do I mean by static load? Say you're doing back squats, you throw 225 on the bar. From the top of the squat, down to the bottom, and back up to the top, you have 225 pounds of resistance, right? It never changes. It's that constant on the bar. What incremental resistance training is the higher up you come out of that posture, the more weight is being applied. You're incrementally increasing that weight. So, how do we do that, right? We do that by using chains and various resistance bands. So we're going to get into how to use those later, but let's talk for a second of why we want to do this, right? So we have these two axes here. We have our weight and we have our movement. So we're going to stick with that back squat just so we can continue the same thing here. Say your max is 225, right? We're going to use black as your static load, just a bar. That load comes all the way across. It's steady. It's 225 the whole time, right? And so this is your movement. Of course, the bottom of the squat, top of the squat. We've all been to that point where, say, you hit the bottom right and you start pressing out and you get to about here and you just can't get it, right? That's your sticking point. That's where you have the least mechanical advantage out of the entire movement. So red is going to be our potential, right? So at the bottom of the squat, since we can have that little bit of juice before we hit our sticking point, it's going to come down slightly and then come back up, right? So we've all noticed that the higher up we get out of that squat, say the top half or the top third of the movement, we can move significantly more weight. It's generally, when we push, we hit that sticking point, and as soon as we break that, it's pretty easy to stand up. So that's why this is our output, like our potential, that comes up higher. So when we're doing a static load, there's only one small point where we're really getting close to our potential, and we want to try to stay as close to our potential as possible. The closer we can stay to our potential, the more stimulus we're getting and the more strength we're actually going to gain out of the movement. So we use incremental resistance to stay closer to that potential, right? So continuing with that squat, if we're using bands, we're going to wrap our bands. Say we move our spotter bar down a little bit lower. We're going to have our bands around that. We'll stretch it up over the bar, right? So at the top of the movement, this band is tight. At the bottom of the movement, it's relaxed, if tense at all, right? So, of course, with the bands, the further up we stand, the tighter this is getting, the more resistance, right? So we're going to use blue as bands. And what this does is, so remember, this is our potential, and these ones, the black is our static resistance. This is going to be our band resistance. So band resistance is going to stay pretty nice and loose at the bottom of the movement. We're going to hit that sticking point, and then this is going to incrementally increase. Now, depending on how thick the bands are, it's going to increase more drastically, right, on more of a curve. So we want to try to gauge the resistance with our potential. If you do too strong of a band, you're going to get like 2/3 of it and go, man, I can't press up out of it. So it's going to take a little bit of playing with different bands, setting it at slightly different heights. But now we're staying way more close to this movement, right? Now chains are very similar to bands. How they work, right? So we have a chain that loops over the end of the bar. We have a couple sections here raining off loose. Say I have that bar on my back. As I come down, these chains are hitting the ground, which is taking weight off the bar, right? Because it's sitting on the ground. Now as we press up out of it, that weight's increasing. This was actually set up for deadlift the other day, so it should be slightly longer if we're using it for squat. But you get the idea. So we're going to use green for chains, right? It's going to be the same thing, right? So we're going to be pressing up out of this. We're going to do it a little bit lower. And this is going to be, so we have, I don't know if I describe that well enough. We have one section at the top and then two sections at the bottom. So this bottom part is heavy. So what we're doing there is this is going to gently rise until we hit that sticking point. Then more chains are going to come off the ground. And this is going to be a straight line coming up, but it's going to be, again, incrementally increasing. It's just incrementally increasing on a steady gain instead of a sharp slope. So they both have their different pros and cons. Chains are going to build a little bit more of a stability bias because those chains will start to sway as they come off the ground and you have to stabilize that. Bands, they kind of keep you sucked in a little bit more because it's building that triangle between the two bottom bars and your bar at the top. So it kind of holds it in a little bit better. Chains will kind of make you sway and you'll have to use that stability. So, which by adding in that stability factor, your potential is actually going to drop and this is going to be closer, but that's getting too far into it. So, incremental resistance is a way for you to generate a way to generate the bar staying closer to your potential instead of a static line. So what that's doing is throughout a larger period of time in the movement, you're staying at a much higher stimulus, right? So think of this red line as your 100%. That's your 100%. You can't give any more than that. So if we're staying really close to that 100%, you're getting max stimulus, which means your muscles are going to send more signals saying, hey, we got to get stronger, right? You're sending more stimulus to it, and you're going to build to a higher potential. So incremental resistance with my strength training program and ReliGym training, we use this every day. Every single day that we do strength training. At least on one lift, we're doing either chains or bands on it. And that's and we rotate through it. That way it's consistently varying. We're changing as much as possible while still doing those same movements and focusing on those same groups to get maximal gains out of it. I've seen our athletes jump big time by using these, clients as well as athletes, even myself. Ice cream man is coming. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I really want ice cream now. They're going to think I'm weird sitting here with board. I'm definitely going to have to edit this out. I really want that ice cream. Anyways, back to where we were. So this is something that my clients use very frequently in our ReliGym Power program. I use it 3 days a week. All of my strength training days we're using this on at least one lift, and I've noticed significant gains. This isn't a new technique by any means. If you go to any powerlifting gym, probably in the world, you're going to see a ton of chains and a ton of bands on their deadlift platforms. It's something that the guys at Westside Barbell and Conjugate Fitness use a ton, and they have incredibly strong athletes. So it's not a new science, but it's something that we don't do much in our OCR community. So something that hopefully we can bring. It'll increase our strength, and everyone's gains will go up. So if you guys have any questions on incremental resistance or want to see videos on anything else, drop it in the comments below. I'm going to film a video later this week on how to use bands and chains for squat, bench, deadlift. We'll probably throw in some clean, stuff like that, just so you can see how you can tie it into your regular training program. Jump onto www.religym.org and check out our clothing and see how you guys can help support kids in local communities through mentorship programs and fitness. What else do we got? ReliGym programming, I kind of briefly talked about it. We have online programming, one-on-one with our athletes. It's a great program. It's something that I follow personally. I've noticed great gains from it. So yeah, if you want any more information on that, put a comment in the box below. That's going to be, we're going to be launching that here at the end of this month. But yeah, get on the list. It's a great program and it's dirt cheap. So yeah, again, this is Paul with Team ReliGym. Take it easy and go get some bands and chains for incremental resistance training. Take it easy, guys.